20 minutes past 7, it's sports time here on Morning Live. Sports journalist and analyst Mzimasi Mgebisa will be laid to rest on Thursday after he passed away at the age of 40 following kidney failure exactly a week ago. Mz, as he was known, began working at the SABC in 2003 in the capacity of a deputy editor. 2 years later, he was managing editor of the SABC Sport Information Hub. After leaving in 2009, he rejoined the national broadcaster and worked on all major sports events as analyst, scriptwriter and researcher. Fellow sports journalist and a long-time friend of Mz, Vata Ngobeni, joins us now to chat a little bit more about the life of Mz. Thank you so much for joining us, Vata.
No, only a pleasure, Valen.
You share a long history with Mz, and I see you even wearing a little bit of that history.
Yes, without a doubt. I met Mz in 1994. Both of us attended Queen's College Boys High School down in Queenstown, and that's where our sort of relationship started. By then he was 2 years ahead of me, and little did I know that in a few years' time he'd end up being my boss here at SABC Sport at Info Hub. But I mean, what a glorious career he's had. He joins the likes of Alistair Sparks, Toby Shapshank, Ray Hartley, Spear and Pierre, Tando Mqoli and Nikelo Madala, Tumani Mambani, guys who've come out of that school and made it in the world of journalism.
How big a loss is this?
I think it's a massive loss. It's a massive loss, not just for SABC. I think it's a massive loss for the sporting industry and especially football itself, because a guy like Mz was probably, everyone would know him, was a straight talker. He's a man who dealt in facts, a man who never suffered fools. And what a wealth of knowledge he had. I enjoyed at the memorial service on Friday where Simile Qabanisa, spoke about, a man who lived his life, quickly. He did his best to attain things. I mean, to become managing editor at the age that he was, and having worked first at print, he's worked at magazines, all the top football magazines in the country. He worked at the Star, he worked at the Sunday Times, and he's worked at other broadcasters and ended up here at the SABC speaks volumes. That to achieve that in a space of 20 years speaks volumes of the person and the journalist that he was.
I mean, he was never one to hold his tongue. His controversial comments sometimes landed him in a lot of hot water. What is the legacy that he leaves? I
think the legacy that Mzimasi leaves is one of, we need to speak truth to power as journalists. You need to make sure that you tell the story, but tell it for what it is, as the facts are there. You need to put them out there. You need to interrogate those facts and never shy away, from the controversies that engulf our sport. But more than anything, as you say, his words often got him into hot water. That's the nature of our job. We are the fourth estate. We are people, that are meant to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. We are there, to tell the truths that people don't want to be revealed. So I think a guy like Mzimasi, again, reminds a lot of journalists, young and old, of what our profession is all about. And hopefully we'll learn lessons from Mzimasi and we'll stay true, to those convictions which Mzimasi lived and ultimately probably died by.
It's also an example of sometimes how lonely it can be when you are speaking out and you know the truth and you have to stand by your word.
No, without a doubt. I think very nice. I spent his last few days with him. I went to visit him in hospital along with Simile Qabanisa, and he spoke about how lonely the last few months have been with him being out of a job because of some of the facts that he spoke about. However, he was a man that kept on saying, if given the opportunity, I'll do it again, because that is the truth, and I stand by that. It was not an opinion that I was giving facts. So yes, it is lonely. You will find those times, but I think at the same time, Mz was able, to hold on to those friends that were dear to him and close to him, that had been with him throughout his career, and there have been many of those guys. I think of our colleagues, the likes of David Kekane. I remember Oila Majeke, really paying a very emotional tribute. Guys like Tando Mqoli. So, again, it may be lonely at times, but those few stick by you, make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. So Mzimasi, also a principled man and a principled journalist, leaving a strong legacy for many young and old to follow in. Vata, thank you so much for coming to share your memories with Mzimasi Mgebisa. All right, so that was the bulk of our sports bulletin, but there is other things that is happening in the sports world, including World Cup qualifiers. Bafana head coach Stuart Baxter says that his team knows what to expect from their opponents, Cape Verde, in today's